Carl Whelan, he says this, and this was the day after Mary Schweitzer published in some of the journals. That was March 24th. This is March 25th. It says, we previously announced the discovery of what seems to be microscopic red blood cells and immunological evidence of hemoglobin. That's another protein that should degrade quickly, right? In dinosaur bone. See sensational dinosaur blood report in response to critic. You see the footnote down there at the bottom. Now a further announcement involving the same scientist, Montana State University's Dr. Mary Schweitzer. Okay, she's now at, like I said earlier, at the University of North Carolina. Stretches, and Dr. Baugh here put pun intentional, the long-age paradigm beyond belief. Not only have more blood vessels been found, but also soft, fibrous tissue and complete blood vessels. The fact that this really is unfossilized soft tissue from a dinosaur is in this instance so obvious to the naked eye that any skepticism directed at the previous discovery is completely history. It's beyond question now. One description of a portion of the tissue was that it is flexible and resilient, and when stretched, returns to its original shape. It's flexible enough and elastic enough to rebound to the original position after it's released, after it's stretched and released. The arrow points to a tissue fragment that is still elastic. It beggars belief that elastic tissue like this could have lasted for 65 million years. And that's a conservative estimate as far as the evolutionists are concerned. They dated that Tyrannosaurus rex femur, I believe, 68 million years. Most people round off to 70 million years. But you see the arrow here pointing to this stretchy tissue which connects the two reddish samples there. Okay, that's that stretchy tissue. Mary Schweitzer was actually on a CBS 60 Minutes broadcast. And they showed video of her actually stretching it in the laboratory there and actually rebounding and all the flexible elasticity of the original sample still. Another instance of fresh appearance, which similarly makes it hard to believe in the millions of years. Okay, this is what we started with at the very beginning. Okay, that fresh appearance, that kind of dark red hemoglobin kind of color there. And they did the tests, and there are hemoglobin antibodies in rats from this sample. The rats actually developed hemoglobin antibodies against the hemoglobin in the dinosaur there. And so it also has the iron in the hemoglobin because they did magnetic tests also on that. There's like 4 or 5 different tests to see if it was hemoglobin. All the tests confirmed it's actually hemoglobin. Regions of bone showing where the fiber structure is still present. Okay, you see the 3 arrows pointing there. Compared to most fossil bones, which lack this structure, but these bones are claimed to be 65 million years old. Yet, they managed to retain this structure, this fibrous structure. The exciting discovery was apparently made when researchers were forced to break open the leg bone of a Tyrannosaurus rex fossil to lift it by helicopter. The bone was still largely hollow and not filled up with minerals as is usual. It was not permineralized, right? It had not completely fossilized to stone. Dr. Schweitzer used chemicals to dissolve the bony matrix, revealing the soft tissue still present. And this is a specialty of hers. Okay? She has been cited as saying that the blood vessels were flexible and that in some instances one could squeeze out their contents. Can you just let it soak in? Don't take this for granted. Okay, this is spectacular news, okay, for us. Furthermore, she said the microstructures that look like cells, now that's interesting to me, because she won't call them blood cells or erythrocytes. She'll call them round red microstructures. Okay, that's her terminology. Okay, the microstructures that look like cells are preserved in every way. She also is reported as commenting that preservation of this extent, where you still have this flexibility and transparency, has never been seen in a dinosaur before. When her fellow technicians, saw the sample in the literature, in the journal, it says that they said, "You've got blood cells, you've got blood cells." "Oh, you mean those round red microstructures?" Yeah, that's what we mean. It appears that this sort of thing has not been found before, mainly because it was never looked for. Right? You see what you want to see. You see what you expect to see. And so this tells us also that evolutionary philosophy can put blinders on scientists and actually hinder science. Can it? Right? Schweitzer was probably alert to the possibility because of her previous serendipitous discovery of T-Rex blood cells. It appears that the fossils were sent to her to look for soft tissues prior to preservative being applied because of her known interest. And that's another thing we got to consider. Out in the field, they put preservative on the bones and they wrap them in plaster, cast, so they don't break in shipment, right, before they can get to the museum, where they can be separated from the rock and then assembled into skeletons, right? And so that preservative can damage the original soft tissue before it gets to the museum. So basically, we don't put the preservative on there, and we just kind of hope for the best. And so that way we can actually examine the soft tissue, which may or may not be present in the bone. In fact, Schweitzer has since found similar soft tissue in several other dinosaur specimens.